welcome to the first episode of Food for Thought with Karabo and Conce. So, today we have a special guest on our show. We have Michelle Moshibudi, co-founder of Mo's Crib, which is a company that manufactures beautiful homeware products. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Karabo. Thank you, Conce.
Oh, thank you.
So, Michelle, please can you tell us, from economist to an entrepreneur, that is such a big move. So what actually motivated such a huge step?
I actually don't think it's a big move. I think they're very much interlinked. A lot of what we do in the business is very much, driving a driving force towards the economy, and there's a lot that there's a lot of linkages actually between the two. But essentially, my sister and I were working full time at the time that we started the business, and it was just a random Sunday morning, and I said to my sister, let's go to a market. And at the time, I had actually just left my first job, and I was about to start to be an economist, an agricultural economist at my new job. And we went to a market, and she loved, I was just there for Instagram, to take pictures, etc. But she really was drawn to the artistry. And my sister had been doing these origami swans for 10 years at the time. She had been doing them for 10 years, and she had never sold them to anybody. It was just a thing that she did on the side, just to gift friends and family. And she saw an origami art, which was not the same as what she did, but that was inspiration for her to say, okay, I want to come to this market next year. And fast forward a year later, we're at the market, not as guests, but as the makers. And it was just a natural support from my side when I came and supported her on this journey. And what we thought was just going to be like, a slow sale, December sale, was a phenomenon. The product sold out within 5 days, and by Wednesday, Thursday, she could not come to the market because she had to keep up with production. And we continued doing that every single year, introducing a new product every year, and that's just how the journey started. So I was just coming there as a support, and then essentially it was just a very good partnership that just grew into this. So that's the shift. And I think I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So as much as I was an economist, at the back of my mind, I knew that I needed to really find a way to use, either the economist, the agricultural part of what I did, or, something along the way to propel me to be, an entrepreneur. Yes.
So how did you guys build this, amazing product and business? Did you guys have wealth, rich friends, rich family, get a loan, what's the juice?
We actually had none of that, not even the loan. So it was savings. At the time, like I mentioned, that it was really a side hustle that we did while working full time. And of course, with that, we're using our salaries. Within the second year when we came together, we introduced the PVC basket, and we took our salaries, and we went into this market. And what happened was that later on in the journey, although we knew that this was the right move for us, we had a dream to just go and live in Switzerland. And at the time, my sister was working in Switzerland, and I went and studied. And while I was doing my master's, my sister was like, okay, she saved money, and we decided we want to come back home to do this full time. Because actually, while we were living there, we did come back to South Africa for a few weeks to do the show. So our heart was really there. It wasn't just like, oh, it was a Christmas market, we're done now that we live in another country. We really were passionate, and we even did some shows in France. We did some shows in New York as well. And so it was really savings. She was saving money, and we decided to come home. And we thought we had so much money. We thought we were rolling in cash, and we had enough money to start up, get a place, because we sold everything when we moved, furnish our house, do the business, and we had it all laid down. And it was nothing like that. We realized we did not even have enough money. And so we then had to change our lives. We had to, our lives took a big downgrade, and we had to go to our friends who are not rich and be vulnerable enough and ask them for money and ask them to help us in this journey while we tried to navigate, our way into the business. Because at the time that we came back, our sole focus was markets, going to markets and selling. And we realized when we did the markets while working full time, it was sustainable because we had our salary. to match the money that came in. But now we don't have a salary, and we just have this money that we make from markets. It's not enough to sustain your life and also grow the business. And that's when you realize we had to have a different strategy, which is what we always thought of, but we didn't think we were going to go into wholesale that early. And that's when we started contacting your Builders Warehouse, your Woolworths, your Mr. Price, because we knew that we needed to go wholesale in order to bring more revenue into the business. And it was really just a balance of, doing the markets, asking our friends for money. Getting a loan was definitely not in the cards for us, because with that, I think the financial, structure in South Africa does not cater for your black entrepreneur who's starting out, who does not have collateral. We don't have any land, we don't have any assets, that we can use as collateral. And so, of course, that was out of the question. And so we had to rely on friends. We really had to, and they really helped us. So no wealth, nothing like that. It really is just determination and having the will to be vulnerable enough and say, friends, I need your help. And that was not easy, but you know what, it was worth it. It's not something that we regret. So we're glad we went through that.
Sure, I love your community. Very valuable people you have in your corner.
Yeah. So you also mentioned that, you had to reach out to retailers like Builders Warehouse, Mr. Price, Woolworths, and the likes.
Yeah.
For you to be able to put your products out there. How difficult was it for a young business, trying to come up and be able to reach those markets? I think earlier on, Conce mentioned that, your business took the South African sustainability, by storm, because you do say, in your business, you want to produce in a way that is, taking into account, what is happening with the environment.
Yeah.
So how actually hard was it?
You know what, that was actually the fact that our product is premised around sustainability, I believe that was a very good doorway for us to get to market, because we were coming with a different messaging, we're coming with an authentic, organic story, and that really helped us, to be heard. And I mean, I think getting into the markets, into the wholesale space was very easy. It was nothing hard at all.
Really?
Yeah, contrary to
No.
popular belief, it was very easy because it's just all about calling and selling a product. And I think another thing that really helped was our product was very unique, very different. I mean, at the time, the only product that we were marketing was the PVC. With the PVC, which is basically taking PVC pipes, getting them from construction sites, from the manufacturers, getting broken pipes, and repurposing them into baskets. I mean, that on its own is mind-blowing. How do you do this? And they want to hear that story. And we are, we own the whole value chain. We are the makers. We are the face of the product. We are, the CEOs of the business, etc. And so it was a very easy story to tell, and so they gravitated towards that. So the mere fact that we're creating sustainable products, handmade, locally made, that's what South Africa wanted, and I think that's what South Africa needs going forward, taking into consideration the kind of economic space that we are in at the moment, trying to see what we can do with what we have. And, luckily we had a very good product that sold itself, a very good story, and, and a very good, brand positioning around sustainability. And so that was, very easy to actually go in and market, our products.
How hard is it to follow this path of, producing in a sustainable way? Because I know part of the Sustainable Development Goal number 12, is to produce in a way that will bring longevity, as well as the consumption side of things. So the 3 R's will come into play, which is you need to reduce your waste, you need to reuse, and recycle your resources.
Yeah.
So I see that you guys are properly aligned with those.
Yeah.
So how hard is it for you to say, now we want to produce in this way versus somebody else who, will not be going through this way?
Oh, it's very challenging, especially because you can imagine that when we were just doing markets, we would take any kind of pipe that you find, brown, green, pink, and you would make, a product out of it. But when you go into a retail store, they say to you, we have specific colors. We want this particular color. And you think to yourself, I do not know where I'm going to find that color. I have to, I have to be creative in that sense. And so there came an opportunity to repurpose, So what we do is that if we don't find the right color of the pipe that we need, we can regranulate. And that means that you take some pipe that is the color that you don't need, but you are able to then crush it into little small granules,
Wow.
put a particular color powder in it, and then you get an output of a product that you can actually use. So we had to be really creative, especially when we started exporting internationally, and the volumes were really large, from needing 300 for a market to needing over 2,000, for one order. And so we really had to be creative in it, and it was really challenging. But our business, we make sure that we really stick to the values that we have. And one of the values is really making sure that we manufacture sustainably, and we have to always be accountable to those values. The values are not there to make our catalog look interesting, to make us look, fashionable in any sense. It really is something that we answer back to. We are accountable to it, and at the end of the day, this is the brand that we are creating, right? So we have to continue on that trajectory. We have to continue making sure that we stay, true to those values. And so, of course, it's challenging. It's hard. I mean, even with the grass, with the grass, product that we do, there's a particular harvest time that we have to get the grass, and you can't just take grass that's just that's growing right now, because of you need to make sure that it's also environmentally non-invasive. And so we have to wait for grass that's dry, that's not, going to be used, that's going to be swept away. And so we use that kind of grass into our manufacturing processes. And so that's very interesting with our grass products. Actually, some of them look a little bit green, and that's a grass that actually fell off from the tree that we harvest and use in our manufacturing processes. But not a lot of companies are doing that. It's very difficult to do that. It's time consuming. It's labor intensive. But we choose, we choose the highway. We choose the tough route because of that's what creates, a niche and a difference in the market. And I think the world needs that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's amazing, because even us as consumers now, going to the shop, we are more conscious of what we buy, how it was produced.
And where it comes from,
Exactly.
You're thinking about everything you put in and everything you wear.
That's true.
So I heard that agricultural economist of yours kicking in, talking harvest times and all of that.
Yes.
So obviously you have picked up a few skills from your agriculture, and that has helped you, getting to where you are, and certain areas that you guys are looking at. Can you just tell us where exactly you're getting some of your resources, and what skills you have learned in your past that is actually helping you, build this empire of yours and your sisters?
Yeah, okay, so initially when we started, we were just working with PVC and paper, which was the origami. And when there was a clear demand for grass products, we had to now start scouting. So South Africa, the southern coast region of KwaZulu-Natal, has abundant fields of palm leaves called Ilala palm. And that's where we saw some of our palm leaves. And we noticed that, it was not so sufficient for us, and especially waiting for, the seasons, it's not the same. You have to really wait quite a long time before you can actually harvest that, that raw material. And so we had to look outside of, the South African borders, but still within the African borders, because we have amazing grass that we can actually use, in some of the homeware products that we have, which is a real, imprint of, traditional art in Africa. And so we went to Malawi. We were able to source grass from Malawi, and now we've now opened up our eyes to say what is largely grown in other areas, so that we go to a place where there's abundant fields, so that we're not taking from nothing. We need to make sure that there's the places where they are still growing, they can actually grow abundantly. So we go to where there's abundant fields, where we go to like your Tanzania, we can get your milulu grass. In Kenya and Rwanda, you can get your sisal grass. And so we take it from from many different parts of Africa. The agricultural background has really helped me a lot, and I think it's more on, because I studied agricultural economics and not soil science or anything of that nature. Agricultural economics is really broad, and with that, the focus, especially from my own career, with what I've learned, logistics, because I was a logistics coordinator actually at some point in my career, trade international trade, understanding, HS codes, etc. That really comes, into play into the business that I'm in, because we are a player within the export space right now. And in terms of, finance, running the business, the economics of the business, how can we, create economies of scale to make sure that the business scales up, and it runs well. And this has helped a lot in terms of, pricing of the products, procuring, supply materials, because if I'm actually on the marketing and operations side of the business, and where I procure, your packaging, etc. So a lot of what I've learned within the broad scope of agriculture economics is what I'm using. And lucky enough for me, I was not just straight bam into economics, after graduation. I went into working into, different types of sectors. Like I was at some point a financial, accountant, assistant, logistics, so and also when I did my master's in international trade law, there was a lot on, on export, of products, understanding, what kind of, how you have to get your product export ready, what kind of roadblocks you'll meet along the way, X works, etc. So those are all the stuff that I'm using, in the business. But what I've also learned is that not just the skills that I've learned in agriculture, but just the discipline of having gone to, to school and learning certain things. That discipline really comes in handy when you're working. Those late nights when you could not go to sleep because you're not done studying are the late nights that really keep you up when you have to finish a cash flow statement because of it's needed the next day. So there's really, a lot that you can actually take from that I can say really helped me in my journey.
Okay, so you also mentioned, outsourcing some of the raw material, your grass and sisal from Tanzania and Malawi and the likes. So immediately I'm thinking about our local farmers this side. Do you think South Africa is suitable, in terms of climate, etc., to be able to produce some of that grass and to be able to give our local farmers, opportunities to be in your value chain?
That's actually a very good point that you mentioned, and I think looking at where if we can look for the past, from 2016, for the past 5 years, looking at how the environment and the climate change had really affected agriculture. There's just so many dips and so many ups, right? It was quite volatile. Focusing mainly on the grain industry because that's a background that I'm really much more versed in. I think it now brings the question to the table: what other things can we produce? Because we've seen so many challenges, and now we're coming up with other plans in terms of hydroponics, different types of way to grow produce. Once we move that and rotate that kind of farming in a different type of growing system, what other products can we grow? Like, what other grass can we grow? And I think that's a very good, good thing that you brought up to say, well, maybe we need to actually look at, the fact that grass products have been around since we were babies, and it's still here right now, and it's still loved, and it's clearly not going anywhere. How about we grow some sisal? How about we grow some, elephant bark trees? How about we grow some banana bark, And so I think that there lies opportunities. It's obviously now a question of land. I think there's a huge competition of land at the moment right now. So, it depends. It depends where the leaders within the land space, how they will look at it, because of we are competing between it's a competition between property and agriculture. It's a competition between mining and agriculture. So there's a pool. But I think if we're thinking about sustaining agriculture, because it's a good industry, particularly for employment as well, we can think about what other things we can grow. I think there definitely is an opportunity.
And I think from the demand side of things, from where you guys come from to where you are now, you are a case study to show that there is demand for your products, and moving forward, the sky is the limit. So we
definitely,
never know.
Could cut a lot on our transportation cost of the raw material this side.
Sure. Every basket that you get from Rose Crib is hand woven, guys.
Yes.
And I just think that is just an opportunity there for growth, just for employment. Please just tell us exactly how the system works, because I am blown away.
It's actually interesting. When we implemented the system, it was for quality check. But seeing how it blew your mind away, I see the uniqueness in it. So our products are all handmade, as I mentioned. Some of them we outsource, some of them we produce in-house. And each and every single basket, the many thousands and hundreds that we see, have
Even
a name
in
tag
America.
on them. Yes, have a name tag on them of the person that made the product. The system that we implemented was mainly to do quality checks. You know, if there's any defects, we will be able to take it to the person that made it to say, okay, you need to fix the product. But the beauty about it is that, I mean, you know, to the consumer's eye, they will not see, but because of we created the product, we can see the differences in the product, which is very beautiful. It creates every product very, very unique. And so every product is handmade, uniquely made. And so you will never find two of the same, whether it's with the grass or whether it's with the PVC, with whatever product, whether it's a grass tray or a placemat or a coaster, they are all unique in their own right. And so this is how it sets us different from your Chinese manufacturer who just puts it through the machine and you get a standard product. Our product is very different, it's unique. You know that when you're gonna go to Woolworths, you know, or Mr. Price or Crate and Barrel in the US or online, the product that you have is uniquely made for you, for your space, and it has a touch of that artisan's creativity and, you know, artistic skill, you know, imprinted on it. So that's basically a unique fact of our products that I never really thought about like that until you mentioned it, actually.
And there's definitely a shortage of that skill in South Africa. So looking at the unemployment rate, you know, we need people who actually know how to work with their hands. And this is a place where there's actual ample opportunities.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think, I mean, I don't even think, I know for sure that creativity, art, craft is an African thing across the board, you know, and we are not cultivating it, because I think in South Africa we really are quick to, you know, to move on to the Western way of doing things. We want to be accountants, we want to just move on, and so we are losing that whole creativity in us. I mean, the last time we were at the zoo and we were looking at the types of crafts that they have, and we were asking the ladies, okay, so where is this made? And I mean, of course, when we were growing up, there were these mats that you roll up. We call them leho. I don't know what you call it.
Lohora.
Lohora.
In Sebedi.
Exactly. So those were made in Limpopo.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
And so when you ask now, they say, no, it's made in Swaziland.
And I think
so
every household back at home has
we used to
one
have
of
it.
those.
We used to
During
have that.
summer, we would just sit
Sit
outside.
Just roll it
with a
out.
bottle of,
Exactly.
cold
Under
water
a mulberry
under-
tree.
Yeah, or ginger, you know, beer. And
was
so
nice.
it was so disappointing to find that none of them are made in South Africa. Swaziland, Zimbabwe. So I was like, ow. But this is like
And we don't
a
have our own
Sepedi
people here
craft,
doing
you know.
this thing.
It's a Sepedi craft. Why is it not done here? And so I think that we are really, we are forgetting that skill. And so what we have to do, Conce and Karabo, is get some of the artisanry skill from the Zimbabweans to train our South Africans in order for us to really recultivate that skill, because we need it. You know, and so what we've also find is just a challenge of discipline. You know, there's just a lot of things that just are a mismatch. But you're right that you know, that is a good way to create employment. Looking at where the economy is right now with the employment rate, so that could be, you know, a good way to really create some change. Yeah.
Just bordering still on the design. I mean, you guys, there's been a huge evolution of design from the PVC to the grass mats and, you know, the other mats with different designs. So I know you have a background in agriculture, but like, you know, who designs these and who comes up with the concepts?
Yeah.
And from where you started to where you are now, you just keep on bringing more and more ranges.
Yes.
So yeah, we're interested to know, you know, how does that come about?
Well, actually, my sister is a born artist, as I mentioned, and so a lot of the creativity, you know, I mean, especially with the PVC planter, she just thought up and she's like, okay, this is how I think it should be, and so a lot of the creative directing is her space. So she will basically direct the creativity, the design of some of the products that we have, and I would be mainly on the supply chain side, the digital marketing side, the finance side of the business. But what we also try to do, as I mentioned, that some of the grass we get from your Kenya or we get from your Tanzania, we also try to make sure that we don't move away from the artistry that they have created in their own countries. So we get inspiration from that. So inspiration from African design, African creativity, and not making it too familiar, or else you will not buy it, because you see it all the time, you've seen it growing up. So we also try to make it a little bit modern, and so you'll see that there's color in our product, that's very African. There's print, especially with the wall arts that we do, that's very African. The weaving on its own is an African, it's an African craft. And so it's all about how can you make it different. Let's put some handles here, let's put it with a lid, and so we do try to cultivate and preserve, the African, print on it, but the creativity definitely hands down my sister.
Okay, so Michelle, what do you like about being an entrepreneur? They always say that, if you work for yourself, you end up working more than a person who maybe has a 9-to-5 job. So what do you like about it? What excites you about it? And maybe then, where to from here?
What's next for Moscrip?
Well, yeah, being an entrepreneur is very exciting. I mean, I think what I will say is that it's definitely not about the money at all. It's about, creating your freedom and following a passion, and not necessarily to say that I'm passionate about a particular thing. I mean, I am passionate about homeware, but entrepreneurship, you don't just go after it because you're passionate about that thing, but passionate about also creating freedom for yourself, a different type of work environment for yourself. What I think has been very fulfilling for me has been growing with our team members. Our team members, seeing them flourish in their own right, seeing them grow, seeing the financial impact that it makes, in their lives, that has been very fulfilling. I think people is a great passion for myself and my sister, and so seeing that we can create that through our daily job is just really satisfying enough. And also being able to, bring beautiful products to the South African market, choosing to style your home beautifully. I think that's a beautiful thing. Where to from here, more growth. I think with our latest venture into the US, we've seen the successful growth for export, and we want to tap into, into more stores internationally as well. South Africa has been, our head start, and it has carried us really well, and we want to continue doing that. We want to continue, bringing, fashionable, creative, redesigned products into people's homes, and using many different channels to do that. That's what we want to do, and hopefully, one day have our own brick and mortar store.
Yes,
so yeah, so Miami, LA, Sandton, Cape Town, you will see us very soon.
Footprint everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we want to do.
All right, Michelle, we've covered so much about Moscrip. Just quickly, just get to know you, like beside the business.
Wow.
Like, what is the one thing that people don't know about you?
Oh, gosh, I'm not so good with those spot questions. Let me think. What is the one that people don't know?
I think you have many.
I don't know. Do I have many? Gosh. I mean, people know everything about me. I overshare.
You said earlier on that you relocated from Switzerland.
People know that about me.
People know that about you.
People know that about me. I think there's one thing that my sister once mentioned that I think is an interesting thing that people don't know about me. Seeing that I've lived in Switzerland, I once declined living in London with my mom and sister because I wanted to just stay in South Africa. So that's something that people don't know about me, that I once had an opportunity to finish my high schooling in the UK, and I said, no, I am happy with very hot South Africa. Bye, mom and sister, live in London, I'll visit you whenever. So I'll say that's the one thing they
don't know.
Yeah.
She likes the warmer weather.
I do.
It's gloomy over there, gosh.
Very. Yeah.
Yeah. And what is on your bucket list? I'm sure you have a long list of things you still want to do.
Absolutely. I've got a very big bucket list. Well, I don't even necessarily look at it as a bucket list. It's just things that I know I am, I think I look at life as a journey, and we create the canvas, you know, how colorfully we want to create it. And I know that if I don't do it, it would be a big, you know, disservice for myself and for my creator. And I look at bucket list, you know, in a very serious way. So it's not like riding a horse or, you know, anything like that. But I would really love to continue growing in entrepreneurship, and not just with Molescript, but, you know, growing other brands. And and I think one of the dreams that I have is to actually continue going to foods. I want to go into the foods business, so that's definitely something that I'm looking at into right now. A big passion of mine as well is, you know, in future creating an ecosystem to make entrepreneurs thrive. So I'd really dream of being an investor one day in the future as I continue growing in my journey. Small little other bucket list that I have, you know, fun ones. I want to own a horse. That's a very interesting thing.
Wow.
I really want to own a horse.
Cute.
I know it's so weird and
Yeah.
different. But just this week, actually, I was Googling some equestrian farms around here, because I actually
wow.
want to start learning horse riding and actually eventually own a horse one day. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Karabo, more questions?
No, I think maybe just tips, you know, to young and coming entrepreneur, just somebody at home who wants to thinking, you know, I want to do something for myself. Any tips to them?
Well, seeing that this is an agriculture-focused show, I would really like to say that, you know, particularly, you know, whether it's, you know, it's agriculture that you're studying or whatever course it is that you're studying, just know that it's more than just about going into farming or going into that particular discipline. It's really about developing yourself as a person. Everything that we do is developing ourselves. I'm not here as an entrepreneur selling baskets just to sell baskets. I'm here as an entrepreneur to grow and develop myself and learn more from this journey. What can these baskets teach me? You know, what can, you know, procuring boxes teach me? You know, and what can interacting with other, you know, stakeholders teach me? And that's how we should really look at life. It's just a stepping stone. And I'd say that, you know, whatever it is that you want to achieve, whatever it is that you want to go for, start right where you are. There was a time, quick story, my sister and I had no money. We were doing a show. We are selling planters. We need plants. Plants are expensive. It's 1,000 Rand for a plant. And you see, the planters that we have are quite big, so you need these quite big plants. And we were thinking to ourselves, oh gosh, we do not know how we're going to get plants to make our store look interesting. And we had to then think, okay, how can we get plants for free? We went to botanical gardens. We asked them to have plants, to borrow the plants for a week. They borrowed us plants for a week, and we're actually able to have a nice display. We had no money, but we had a nice display. And so start with what you have, you know, and be creative, and don't limit yourself. You know, don't limit yourself. Just because of you are in a particular space does not mean you cannot grow into, you know, something different. Like just now we're talking about how we are all agricultural economists, and we're sitting here in front of cameras. So yeah, you know.
Thank you so much, Michelle,
That was so
for joining
fun.
us. Oh, it was so much fun and so innovative.
Yeah,
And
I
Very
enjoyed
good
that.
catching up with you. Hey?
Yeah.
Since we saw you, you were on the other side.
I know, and now we are both on the other sides. Yeah.
a beautiful story about innovation, sisterhood,
Yeah.
starting from where you are, guys.
Following
Very
your
important.
passion.
Not seeing limits.
Yes.
And in our following segment, we will be taking you guys through the warehouse where the products are. You can get more background stories about where they source the products, how they make these products, and some beautiful emotional stories about some of the names of these baskets. Stay tuned. Please follow us. Mwah. Food for Thought with Karabo and Conce. Follow Molescript. We will add all their details at the description box.